But start slow and then move faster out.
R2D2 8 No.
So remember to say thank you, Dolly.
Thank you.
Okay. Well now, God, I would like to go and re-up my college membership. Here is the...
That's all right. She still got the best ride in the house.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, my name is Victor Franco. I'm a member of the R2 Builders Group. And with me are William Miyamoto, Randy Eubanks, Mike Senna, and we'll find out a little bit more about them in a second. But we're here to talk about what it takes to build your own R2D2. And each of us have found that out over the course of the last few years. So first of all, let me ask each of you, William first, how long have you been in the club? Tell us about the droids you've built and any background you've had in building stuff before you took on this project.
Okay, I joined the R2 Builders Group in 2000, but I didn't really start building my droids till about 4 years later. I started with 2, and then I got sidetracked with number 3. Got this one finished. The first 2 are still in pieces. And instead of finishing the first 2, my wife and I started on number 4. So imagine a whole droid encrusted with rhinestones. So that's going to be a big project. My background in droid building, I'm just a huge Star Wars fan. Also a member of the 501st. And I really love R2 and I just wanted one. So I just kind of researched it, and that's how I got involved in the club, and just moved from there.
Thank you. Randy, how long have you been with the club? Have you built any droids yet? How far have you gotten? And did you have background within this country?
Okay. Actually joined originally in 1999, but I didn't actually start in earnest on the building until about a year and a half ago. Previous experience with BattleBots since the very first competition, and also was in Robot Wars in London, England for 2002. Previously, I was a member and president of the Robotic Society of Southern California, and this seems like a good project to work on. Simple, cheap, easy to do.
Yes. And Mike, when did you join the club? Talk about your droids and any background you had that helped you on them.
I started in 2002 with the club. My background really in building these things, I really hadn't built anything before like this, but I'm pretty handy with that table saw. So basically you don't need that many tools to build one if you have the right blueprints, I guess. That's about it.
Okay. Well, speaking of blueprints, let's talk a little bit about them. William, tell us about the club itself. Like, how do you join the club? How much does it cost to join? Can you find blueprints there?
The R2 Builders started off as a Yahoo group. So if you go to Yahoo groups, look up R2 Builders, you can find us. From there we started a forum, astromech.net, so you can also go there. And on our site we do have blueprints, very accurate. We were luckily able to have access to the real R2 from the movies. Don Bees, who operated R2 for episode 2 and 3, was actually able to get measurements off the real one. So our blueprints are very accurate. The functionality of these droids actually probably surpass the movie droids. It doesn't cost anything to join the club. It's completely free. What were we gonna?
Is there a membership fee?
No membership fee now. If you wanna join the club, it's free to do, and you got all the help there to help you accomplish building one of these things.
Blueprints are free?
Blueprints are free.
Cool. Now, as far as the parts, we have a bunch of parts sitting on the table. So this would be an example of maybe there's a blueprint for this particular part on R2. Are these parts pretty much made so that they'll interoperate with other people's parts? Like if I scratch build something to the blueprints versus buy, will you tend to find that the parts fit together pretty well, Randy?
If it's done correctly, yes, everything should fit together no matter where it comes from, as long as it's to the specs.
The club regulates a lot of the parts and a lot of the blueprints. So for instance, these, one of the guys here built these shoulders. It's a CNC. Looks like these have been CNC routed. But since they're following the blueprints of the club, you can basically start anywhere you want on the droid and just start building, knowing full well that once you start on another part or buy a part from the club, they'll all fit together and the robot will look exactly like any other guy's robot out there.
Like another question that a lot of people ask us when they first meet us is, how long does it take to build one of these things typically? And it's a series of questions, but let's start with that one.
Really depends on your budget and how skilled you are at doing what you're doing. You can buy aluminum parts or you can build, as these are plywood parts. My droid in the beginning was built mainly from the blueprints, and there wasn't really any people producing aluminum parts for mine. So a lot of it was hand built, and I have about $5,000 invested in this thing. It can go from as little as what, maybe
$600.
$600, and there's also styrene plans. So if you buy a couple sheets of styrene, you can probably whip out a droid as well. So it just depends on your budget and how much you're willing to spend. It can take, this one took about a year to build. I'm told that was quite fast, but I've heard people working on the droids for like 5 years and still don't have anything. But
Now, when you say you built it in a year or so, how maniacally were you working on it?
Oh, I was a maniac. The problem was, I was one of the only guys out here. I wasn't talking to anybody, so I thought the people on the board were building like crazy. But if you've been on a board, a builder's board, people often talk more than they build. So when I was thinking these guys were already finished, they were actually not even started. Wow.
And William, how long did it take you to build this one and the other one? How long have you been, I guess, how long did this one take?
My first two droids, 1 and 2, which are somewhat completed, are going on 7 years. I got kind of fed up, so I was being too anal trying to get everything perfect. And I just kind of wanted to throw one together. And I had some extra parts, and that's how this one came about. And this one only took me 5.5 months.
So it can be done in a year or less.
I think the quickest one in the club was done in 2 months, 2 guys. In 2 different builds, about 2 months. So it varies. Time-wise, it varies. It's a hobby. Go at your own pace. Also, budget-wise, it varies. For instance, these two R2s over here have aluminum domes. If you were to purchase those from club members, probably around $500 to $600. If you're on a budget, which a lot of us are, this is a plastic dome. This goes for, how much would it go for?
I got 175.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same shape and everything else is the same other than the material?
Yes. So, and once it's painted up, sometimes it's hard to tell which one's aluminum and which one's plastic. A lot of it, since it's a builder's club, you're the builder, you bring a lot into it, so it can vary of what you bring to the table, how well your build goes, and what your budget costs will be.
Randy, do you happen to know what these droids typically weigh?
If you use the heavy materials, I've heard it can go up to 200 plus pounds per, with, you know, all aluminum type components. If you use styrene, you can get under 100 for functional.
Sounds a lot more reasonable than the 200.
Yeah, especially if you have to lift it yourself.
So Mike, how do you figure out where you start? Like, I know I want to build a droid, or I'm interested in thinking, you know, what's a good way to get your feet wet, or what's the best way to start building one of these things?
Typically, it's your personality. I like to do the hardest parts first, just because it's easier along my build instead of going with the easy parts, and then at the end it's really hard, and then I kind of lose my momentum. So I started with the legs first. They seem to have the most parts on them. That's about.
William, how did you decide where to start? Well, how about this? Here's an idea. For those of us that aren't necessarily experienced with this kind of thing, would you recommend starting with something that maybe doesn't show to the outside world, such as a frame?
It really doesn't matter where you start if you want to build one, because in the end, you know, you need to build everything. If you were to ask me, maybe the dome, if they're available. The dome can really be self-contained. They both come off. All the lights are inside it. So if you can finish up the dome, get all the lights, you kind of get an idea of what you're getting into, and then you can try to finish out the rest of it if you want to. If not, you can maybe try to sell it to one of the other club members, because everyone's looking for, you know, completed stuff. So it wouldn't be that hard to get rid of if you decided not to pursue it. But I'm sure once you got this piece done, you wouldn't want to abandon it.
Well, we definitely see a lot of materials here in front of us. William, what kind of parts are in this droid? It looks like I see some aluminum right here. I see possibly wood here, and I'm not sure if this is fiberglass.
Yeah,
Tell us what you've got going on.
Like I said, this is I have a lot of extra parts that were left over from my first two builds, and parts that I've gotten from people who didn't want to do it or they weren't perfect. But the main body is actually a cardboard tube used for pouring cement to make columns, cement columns.
Happen to be the right size, or did you have to?
I had a slice maybe about a quarter inch off of it, but it was pretty much there. This outer skin is aluminum. These are resin parts, fiberglass dome, resin eye. It's just in a wood frame, wood legs. So it's kind of a mishmash of parts. Your builds, as you can see, don't have to be all one material. Some members choose to do an all aluminum droid. They're tanks, they're heavy, they're really expensive, but that's what you want, go for it. I chose to go, you know, a little cheaper route with the wood and resin. Like I said, this was only like $500-600 bucks. So it just depends on what your budget is.
Randy, what thing that our friend Mike down here might be able to show us a little bit about?
Yeah, and as I was saying about the materials, it's and what you can do with these. You can build an R2 and have an R2 in your living room, but if you wanted to, if you were going to an event or something that another R2 is going to be at, or you just wanted to make your own custom R2, can be done very cheaply. This dome is made out of styrene from the club plants, and
Styrene's plastic.
Yeah, it's plastic.
Can we see the
What I'm going to
inside of that
show
dome?
you.
Can you show a peek of what it looks like underneath so people can see?
It's got a wood frame underneath there, wood structure. What I'm going to do here is I made these pieces out of styrene, and I'm going to do a conversion from an R2 to an R5 while we're talking about it. And for the cost of a dome or the materials on the dome, you can have a completely different droid that's completely operational by just making a couple of cheap pieces like this.
Control. Some people are experienced with remote control, other people have never done anything with it. This here is a speed controller. Can you tell us a little bit about the basics of what the idea is for driving a droid, remote controlling it?
Well, we call these R2 units droids because that's what they are in the movie, or robots. But in actuality, they're just really fancy RC cars. They move forward and they turn, and then they add lights and sound to it. So it's just basically an RC car with a really cool shell. This is a speed control. Basically, transmitter transmits signal to the receiver. This plugs into the receiver, and signal. You plug your motors basically into this, and this will tell your motors to go or stop, or one to go forward, one to go back, or to turn, or both go forward, both go back.
We see a lot of sticks and buttons on these things. How complicated is R2 to drive?
Very simple actually to drive. Forward, back, right, left.
So one stick does all the wheels?
Yeah, this is the driving, and for these other droids, this is dome rotation. So this is a very simple R2. Basically, for this one, it just uses 3 channels, 1, 2, and 3. For other club members with all the gadgets, like the arms, the periscope scanner, then you need more channels on your radio system to control that. But club members do that, and if you need help doing that, it's there.
You already have like I fly helicopters, I already have a radio transmitter. And the
Chase cats. Yes. No, I basically built it for fun. I do plan on volunteering at like children's hospitals to entertain kids.
Have you considered the idea of putting some television cameras or video cameras in?
There is about having a hidden camera at a certain angle, traveling through a crowd.